The battle won without fighting. Imagine the most fortified city in the ancient world. Walls so thick that houses were built inside them. Gates so massive they'd never been breached. A military fortress that had stood for thousands of years. Now imagine conquering it without battering rams, without siege towers, without even throwing a single spear. Instead, you walk around it, in silence, for 6 days straight. And on the 7th day, you scream. This sounds insane, right? Like the worst military strategy ever conceived? But what happened next defied every law of physics, every rule of warfare, and became one of the most mysterious events in human history. This is the Battle of Jericho, and scientists are still trying to figure out how it happened. Let's set the stage. The year is approximately 1400 BC. The Israelites have just spent 40 years wandering in the desert after escaping slavery in Egypt. An entire generation has been born in the wilderness, hearing stories about the promised land, but never seeing it. Now finally, they're standing at the border. Their leader Moses has died, and a former spy named Joshua has taken command. Across the Jordan River lies their inheritance. But there's a problem: Jericho. This wasn't just any city. Archaeological evidence shows Jericho's walls were absolutely massive. The outer wall was 6 feet thick. Behind it stood a 12 to 15 foot thick inner wall, towering 40 feet high. Between the two walls was a 15-foot gap. People literally lived inside the wall system because it was so huge. It was the gateway to Canaan, the first major obstacle, and it was impenetrable. Inside those walls, the people of Jericho were terrified. They'd heard the stories. They knew about the 10 plagues in Egypt. They'd heard how the Red Sea split open. They knew about the 2 Amorite kings whose armies were completely annihilated by these former slaves. The Bible says the hearts of the people melted in fear, and everyone's courage failed. They locked the gates tight. No one came in. No one went out. They were in total lockdown mode. But here's what makes this story absolutely wild. Joshua's army had no siege equipment. No experience conquering fortified cities. They'd been nomads and slaves. They had swords and spears, sure, but how do you climb 40-foot walls? Then Joshua had a visitor. One day Joshua was near Jericho when he looked up and saw a man standing in front of him with a drawn sword, not hiding, not attacking, just standing there. Joshua, being a military leader, did what you'd expect. He approached and demanded, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" The figure's response is chilling. "Neither. I am the commander of the army of the Lord. I have now come." This wasn't just an angel. This was the commander of heaven's armies. Joshua immediately fell face down in reverence. "What message does my Lord have for his servant?" And the commander told him something strange. "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy." The same words God spoke to Moses at the burning bush. This was a divine encounter. What happened next? The commander gave Joshua the most bizarre military strategy in recorded history. No battering rams, no scaling ladders, no flaming arrows, flaming. Instead, here's the plan. March around the city once with all the armed men. Do this for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry trumpets of ram's horns in front of the ark. On the 7th day, march around the city 7 times, with the priests blowing the trumpets. When you hear a long blast on the trumpets, have the whole army give a loud shout. Then the wall of the city will collapse. Think about this from Joshua's perspective. He's the experienced military commander being told to essentially parade around a city. For a week, but Joshua did something remarkable. He obeyed completely. It's dawn on day 1. The gates of Jericho are sealed tight. People are watching from the walls, wondering when the attack will come. Then the Israelite army appears. But they're not setting up siege equipment. They're not building towers. Instead, they begin to walk. Armed guards in front. Then 7 priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant, the golden chest containing the 10 Commandments, representing God's presence. Each priest holding a ram's horn trumpet. Behind them, more armed guards. And then the entire population of Israel following. The priests blow the trumpets continuously, long haunting blasts echoing off the massive walls. But the soldiers? Complete silence. Joshua had given strict orders. Do not give a war cry, do not raise your voices, do not say a word until the day I tell you to shout. Imagine being a soldier. Your adrenaline is pumping. You want to intimidate the enemy. You want to shout war cries. But instead, you walk in eerie silence except for those trumpets. They circled the entire city once. Then they went back to camp. Inside Jericho, confusion reigned. What kind of attack is this? What are they doing? Day 2. Same thing. Silent march. Trumpet blasts. One circle. Back to camp. Day 3. Same pattern. By day 4, the people of Jericho might have started feeling a strange psychological pressure. This wasn't normal warfare. This was something else. Something methodical. Something unnerving. Day 5. The tension builds. Still marching, still blowing trumpets, still silent. Day 6. The routine continues. But now everyone knows something is coming. Because this level of discipline, this strange ritual, has to be building toward something. Then came day 7. Dawn breaks on the 7th day and the march begins again. But this time they don't stop after one lap. They keep going. Lap 2. Lap 3. The priest's lips must be getting tired from blowing those trumpets. The soldiers' legs aching. But they press on. Lap 4. Lap 5. Inside the city, people are starting to panic. Why 7 times? What does this mean? Lap 6. The tension is unbearable now. Something is about to happen. Everyone can feel it. Lap 7. They complete the final circle. The entire nation is positioned around the city. Thousands of people surrounding these massive, ancient walls. Then Joshua raises his hand. The moment has come. Shout! For the Lord has given you the city! And the people unleashed a deafening roar. Tens of thousands of voices screaming at once, combined with the 7 trumpets blaring at maximum volume. What happened next has been debated by scientists, archaeologists, and theologians for thousands of years. The walls collapsed, not just cracked, not just damaged. They fell flat, creating ramps of rubble that allowed the Israelites to charge straight into the city. Archaeologists like Kathleen Kenyon found evidence of walls that had fallen outward, which is extremely unusual. Walls typically fall inward when breached. But these fell outward, as if pushed from the inside. The city was conquered in moments. After 6 days of walking, the battle was over before it began. But here's the most mysterious detail. One section of wall didn't fall. There was a house built into the wall system, and in that house lived a woman named Rahab, who had hidden Israelite spies weeks earlier and hung a scarlet rope from her window as agreed. Her section of wall stood firm while everything around it collapsed. So what really happened? How did the walls fall? Some scientists have proposed theories about acoustic resonance, the idea that the right frequency of sound, sustained long enough, can cause structural vibrations that lead to collapse. Others point to seismic activity. Jericho sits on a fault line. Some geological evidence suggests an earthquake occurred around that time period. But here's the problem. How would Joshua know exactly when to time his march with an earthquake? Some archaeologists note that walls exposed to wind and weather for thousands of years could have structural weaknesses. But again, the timing is impossibly perfect. And how do you explain that one section of wall remaining standing? The section where Rahab lived? That's not random structural failure. That's precision. Here's what we know for certain. Ancient Jericho was a real place. The walls were real. Archaeological digs have found evidence of sudden destruction. Carbon dating places it in the right time period. And the walls did fall in an unusual pattern. The Battle of Jericho wasn't won by military might. It was won by obedience to a strategy that made no logical sense. By faith in instructions that seemed absurd. By a people willing to walk in silence when everything in them wanted to charge. The walls of Jericho teach us something profound. The biggest obstacles in life rarely fall the way we expect them to. Joshua's army could have spent years trying to build siege equipment. They could have tried every conventional military strategy. They could have given up entirely. Instead, they did something that looked foolish. They walked. They trusted. They obeyed instructions that made no sense, and the impossible became possible. What walls are you facing today? What obstacles seem too big, too fortified, too permanent? Maybe you're attacking them with your own strength, your own strategies, your own timeline. The lesson of Jericho is this: some walls only fall when you stop relying on conventional wisdom and start trusting in something greater. If this story inspired you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more mind-blowing Bible stories that science still can't fully explain. Drop a comment. What's the biggest wall you're facing right now? And share this with someone who needs to remember that impossible is just an opinion. Because sometimes the answer isn't to fight harder, it's to trust deeper. See you in the next one.